Welcome back to my channel, JDJ Planet, and to my podcast, God is an Artist. And also, happy Black History Month. I got my fro out. It's also the month of Valentine's Day. It celebrates one of my favorite colors, my absolute favorite color, pink. And it celebrates love. I love love, always have loved love. This month, we're going to be talking about how did God design marriage? And interesting about the board, originally I had on the board how God designed marriage without the question mark, but I wanted to change it because I wasn't there when he designed it, so I can't give you his blueprint like he gave it to me. I can only study the Bible and decipher and live life how he designed it for me to live my life how he designed it for me to live. I'm excited to celebrate Valentine's Day with my wonderful husband.
I haven't heard that part. Sorry.
Okay, he can hear me. He is what are you doing?
Working on music for my students.
He's working on music for his students. He's a composer, musician, band director, extraordinaire, all the good things. All the good things. My musician. And I get to celebrate Valentine's Day with him. I'm excited. We're going to be doing a home date here at home. I got a couple of games. Actually, hold on. I meant to pick them up. I can show you. Okay, so I thought it was a couple of games, but it's one game. I got like a couple of books, and I also got a chocolate fondue fountain thingy, chocolate fountain machine, and what else did I get? Oh, one of those couples paint night kits. And so this is the game. This is called the ultimate date night game. Fun for couples. I guess these are some of the do your best impression of your partner. Where was our first kiss? This is going to be cute. I'm excited about doing this for Valentine's Day with him. I got this off Amazon, so I don't know if you want something fun to do with your significant other for Valentine's Day and y'all don't feel like leaving the house like us. Get this fun little game or whatever game that might be out there that'll be enjoyable to you. Pretty much all month for the podcast, I'll be getting into my word and talking to my husband and just kind of like answering the question, how did God design marriage? How would the Lord have a marriage operate and function? In a way that is pleasing to him and in a way that satisfies the couple. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to get into. I originally was going to do just one video, but I was studying a lot and I found a lot of scripture and a lot of things that I want to talk about. And I had the choice between doing one like 45-minute to an hour long video or doing a few parts, and that's what I'm going to do because an hour-long video sounds like a lot. All this month, each week, I'm coming with anything that I find in the Word of God that would point to what God would consider a successful marriage. And that word successful could be subjective, right? Successful meaning what? This happens, that happens, this is the result, that is the result. Like, what do you mean when you say successful? And I want to get into like, what is the life cycle of a marriage that truly pleases God? That is on the way for February. What else is going on with me? I attended the Tonight's Conversation event last month, and I was gonna rewatch it to wait to talk about it, but I guess I can talk a little bit about it. And it was really cool. I really liked it. I liked it. I wanted to go because, like I said in the first episode, I'm inspired by... Did I say that in the first episode or the second episode? It might have been the first episode. But I am inspired by Kitty Rose right now. They're actually coming back in September, and I will be more prepared to go. because I didn't expect the atmosphere that it was. Kitty Rose loves the Lord. She loves the Lord openly on her page everywhere she goes. I love the Lord. And I just want to, one of the many questions I remember having, like, in on my faith journey earlier before this, was like, how do you even take God with you? How do you even share God? Like, where do you start to do that? And watching her travel and do that has been fascinating. So I'm like, okay, I want to go see her in person. I want to know what seeing her in person is like. So we went, bought my little tickets. We went, and it ended up being like we was at the odds, but like at church. It was really fun. I wasn't prepared for the vibe. I love the vibe. I just wasn't prepared for it. But like, appreciate the little pre-show. I guess you can say the pre-show was free because when I bought the ticket, it was from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pre-show was all right. It was all right. What else? A lot of really cute outfits. Everyone looked amazing. A lot of the ladies looked amazing anyway. I don't, men only put so much effort into their look, right? But a lot of the ladies looked good. There was a poet there, a spoken word artist. He was really cool. I'm looking forward to them coming back. I'm looking forward to taking a few more people with me, seeing what else is in store for the tonight's conversation platform. I think honestly, it's a really neat space for Black love to, I guess, sort itself out right now. Since we're talking about marriage and we're talking about Valentine's Day and it's February, I think that's the type of space that our people need to be able to have these open conversations. It can be pretty hard, when you have this dream of yourself as somebody's significant other, and then you get into this space, life happens, and it's like, how do you talk about it? And I feel like that's a really cool platform to show people how you can talk about it, what you can talk about, how to remain respectful, and how to be insightful, and how to bring God into the conversation. The way Kitty Rose approaches bringing God into your relationships, leaning on God, seeking God, focusing on God, and how bringing Him in really does make a difference when you're dealing with life's issues, single or married. Take God with you. I appreciate all the love so far that the podcast has been getting. I'm not a large creator. You can consider me tiny, I guess, in terms of like how many numbers are out there, but the fact that I'm even doing this, I consider it to be a pretty big deal right now, especially considering the potential that this thing has. My adulthood requires more of me, in the spaces and in the arenas that I claim now. And so this is me making space for myself. But as I started to think about it, and where my faith has been and my relationship with God, I was just like, you know what? I really I want this to serve as a space where I can share God with people too, like what He means to me and how I relate to Him. This particular platform is like, okay, if I am made in God's image, then what does that look like? That's what this is. I'm an artist. God is an artist. I feel like that is the thing that connects us, like, intrinsically almost. If you're like an athlete and you are passionate about sports and you're trying to get to know God better somehow, I'm sure He can meet you there somehow, right? Whether you play sports or you watch sports or something, it's just your thing that you're passionate about. When I get into how God designed warfare, or how God's design of the world requires warfare, it's a whole versus thing anyway, and that's sports all the way. This team versus that team, blue versus red, good versus evil. It's like, how can you decipher the spirit world through that passion? If you're a scientist and you like to figure out why the world works a certain way. A couple of videos back, I shared a video about, has science discovered God? And you might be able to study him that way. God needs to be represented in the social media space because it's as if church on social media, the churches that are doing what God wants them to do, don't go viral, but then the churches that are doing everything God doesn't want them to do go viral. And it's like a lot of people are on social media. A lot of people rely on this space for information. They rely on this space for community sometimes. And, I just want to put that out there. I really love Jesus and I know him. If you are just trying to get to know Jesus and you want it to make sense to you, this space is for you. I feel like it can be confusing. And as an artist, someone who knows art, right? I know how artists think. I know how artists operate because I am one. I feel like I could make how God thinks and how God operates a little easier to understand. At least to be a place for somebody, at least to be a place to start for somebody. The Giving Art campaign is live right now, and the greatest challenge of this work has been promoting and marketing and getting the word out. Whenever God calls you to do something bigger than yourself, it can be hard to accept it, to truly accept that calling, meaning like if you don't think you're worthy of the calling, I don't think you'll do a good job. And so it's almost like those people at Walmart, right? Where they're going to try to sell you that Spectrum or whatever it is that they sell, right? AT&T phones at Target, and they don't really care if they're interrupting your shopping trip. They're trying to get the word out about their product. And so it's just like, embodying that. I feel like that about Jesus right now because I know how good he is. And so here I am on YouTube spreading the word. I guess it goes hand in hand, right? Because whether you're spreading the word about internet services or you're spreading the word about community arts wellness programming or you're spreading the word about Jesus, I don't know what it is about putting yourself out there in the human world, but as long as you got a phone and you got a Wi-Fi connection, you could tell somebody something. And somebody could know something about you, I guess. My daughter is reading, she is writing, and she's using the potty all by herself. We haven't had to put her in a diaper pretty much since last month. Well, this month just started. Like the beginning of last month, I want to say. And that is such a blessing. That was one of the things that, I had been thinking about and praying about in my motherhood journey, right? I always want to make sure that the atmosphere I'm giving my kids is conducive of learning and conducive of like positive development. And so, I don't want to rush my kids. Hey, you're 3, you should be potty trained right now. Cause like who wants to use the bathroom when somebody's talking to you like that? Like, have some patience. So yeah, she just turned 4, but thankfully she's potty trained before preschool, potty trained before kindergarten. And then she'll be reading and writing before kindergarten. And I'm just looking forward to it. Not that I'm rushing it, right? Baby boy just turned 6 months. He's got a tooth, I think, growing in. And, Ezra is using more words now. He's calming down. And this motherhood thing it's starting to settle out. I'm starting to get the hang of it in a way that's not completely overwhelming to me. I might have mentioned that I started counseling, and one of the things that my counselor was telling me was to be more compassionate with myself, which makes a lot of sense because, I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I might be an overachiever, right? I might be an overperformer where I'm just like everything has to be right. Otherwise, everything is wrong. But I'm learning to like find a neutrality with stuff. Like, the first example, it's not bad that, my daughter was for, or is just not potty trained and she's four. Some might say it's not good either. It might just be like a neutral. So I'm like, okay, in my motherhood, when I'm not able to live up to the expectation that I set for myself for the day, I don't want to beat up on myself, because then if I'm beat down, how helpful can I be then? So it's like, let me give myself some grace and let me be compassionate with myself so I can continue to be good to my house. My family, myself, the space, things like that. Speaking of, I did set up a fun little, I'm calling it the child's place, in the kitchen over here. It's for my big son and for Nayeli to, and Ezra, with supervision. Otherwise, he'll eat whatever's over there. To get into some art and get into some science and do some experiments and just kind of like, I remember when we were younger, we used to go to the Discovery Zone sometimes at the Science Center. But I mean, we used to go to, the zoo, and we used to just explore and do a lot of things. By the time Omar is bigger, we'll be able to do much more outdoor adventuring. But like right now, I want them to have a place here where they can have a lot of fun. Have a lot of fun, make a lot of really good memories here, and just have those stories about their childhood. I think that's what I think about when I think about motherhood. When I think about being a parent, I think about their future, and I think about what do I want them to say when they're adults? What stories do I want them to share with people when they're grown? I want them to say, okay, when I was younger, my mom slash stepmom set up a spot where we could do science. We had a microscope, we had a beaker and a bunch of fizzy stuff, and we did elephant toothpaste. And I just want them to have like that type of childhood. One of my favorite words in my job, in my field of work, is creative placemaking. So how do you make a place creative, or creatively make a place? Adapt that into my motherhood, adapting it into my wifehood, just kind of like, being creative, making the space. I just set it up, so I'm not sure how well it'll do yet. I mean, Nayeli's done a couple of paintings over there so far. She loves to paint, even if that means, putting the paintbrush in all the paint and mixing all the colors and making one blob on the paper. I think it's so cute watching her because, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to create something perfect. And if it's not perfect, then we don't want to create. And I feel like that can stunt creativity for sure. I mean, I know I went through that. I was in art class in high school and in college, a couple of classes after I graduated high school. And I was just kind of like on a roll, gaining knowledge, getting better. But then I stopped going to school for a moment, stopped going to art class for a moment, and I felt like my skills weren't growing. So I'm like, okay, I probably shouldn't create anymore because I'm not learning anymore. But like, that's not fair. That's not a fair mindset to have, especially because I think innately every single human being is creative, and anything like suppressing our creativity is not healthy. It's not healthy to ourselves as individuals. It's not helpful to our households. It's not healthy for our neighborhoods. And it's ultimately not healthy for civilizations and societies. So like, be creative. Be creative, make and create. Don't let AI take over the creative spaces, because that would be terrible. That would be terrible. I feel like this is like the very beginning of whatever the Matrix was trying to tell us, where it's like the machine is going to turn on us and we will be the subordinate to the machine. Like, I think that's what could be happening. But who knows? That could just be a conspiracy theory. I really just wanted to do like a fun little life update, kind of take a break in between the seriousness But then next week we'll pick it back up when we talk about marriage. How did God design marriage? I think God designed marriage to be fun, fruitful, and fulfilling. I think he designed marriage to be lifelong, steadfast, and unmovable. And I also think he designed marriage to represent how Jesus loved the church and how the church submits to Jesus. So tune in for that next week, and I will see you then.